Addiction as a Christian is so scary to deal with, especially coming into it and not realizing that there are things that are tying you down and there are things that are taking away from your relationship with God. You know, having come from a background of addiction, someone who has an addictive personality, breaking the chains of my vices was the most challenging thing for me to do. And I'm going to give you guys a little insight on how I did that and how I think you could do that in today's video. What's going on, guys? Pleasure to be here again. I'm truly blessed to be able to make you guys another video. I just want to take a second before I get into the, meat and potatoes of this video that, I'm so grateful and thankful for all the love and support that you guys have shown me thus far. We just hit 50 subscribers. It's awesome. It's just truly such a blessing that I'm able to do this and I'm able to speak to you guys. And I hope that, the things that I'm saying, the things that I'm talking about are touching your hearts and allowing you to truly think and reflect and get you closer to Christ. So I just wanted to just take a second and say thank you. And I'm so appreciative and so grateful. Let's get into it. So, having been somebody who has struggled with addiction almost his entire life, um, addiction was always a tough concept to wrap my brain around as far as like, how am I to be free of this and live for Christ? I had come to Christ in 2018, beginning of 2018, but it wasn't until the end of 2023 that I started seeing these chains of addiction be broken. And the one thing that I realized during that entire, 5 year span was you can't have reliance on yourself throughout this process. Because if you have reliance on yourself and you believe that it's within your own strength that you're going to break those chains, you're never going to break those chains. And it wasn't until I started surrounding myself with people who wanted more for me, who wanted me to get better, and it wasn't until I surrendered myself to what God wanted for me that I saw these chains starting to break. I had grown up in the Midwest and I was in that cycle of just repeating, like I would be drinking, smoking, sleeping with women, and I'd have pockets of time, small pockets of time where I wasn't doing that and I was on fire for the Lord. And it would never stay consistent. And so that's why I picked up everything and moved to the Pacific Northwest. But even when I moved, that didn't break the chains, just changing my location. Marijuana is legal here. You could still buy alcohol, you could still drink. My lust, my addiction with lust and all that stuff, it's like that doesn't change just because you moved. My situation, my circumstances changed, significantly because I'm in a completely new area, but you could still find ways to supplement your addictions. So I moved here and got my own apartment. I'm like, I'm going to do things right. It's not what happened. I was still smoking, still drinking, still going to bars, still seeking for women, seeking validation through women. And it was tough. It was super tough. And it's not easy. That's the thing. It's like none of this was easy, right? And it wasn't until I buckled down and had to figure out what was going to work for me. Because I believe that not everyone's struggle with addiction is going to be the same as far as how they find their way out. That's just how it is. It's case by case, right? How I came out of my addictions is not going to be the same way you come out of yours. It's you might find similarities, but you're not going to be able to use everything that I did. But I'm hoping that y'all could take something out of what I did to be able to get out of that situation. And, I had a family member out here who was a pastor. So after communicating with him and, talking with the Lord, I realized that, like, I have no self control when it comes to these addictions. So what am I going to do? I'm living by myself and I'm just repeating all these cycles and stuff. I need to change something. I need to completely flip my environment on its head. So after talking with um, my family member who's a pastor, I had we had kind of come to the agreement like, hey, let me move in with you. You know, I'll pay rent, I'll do whatever. But if I fall back into any of these addictions, kick me out of the house, right? And I got a dog, and I have stuff, right? So it put me in a place of like, I cannot fall into these things. I cannot relapse or go back into my old ways because if I do, where am I going to go? How am I going to take care of my dog? You know, my car couldn't fit all the stuff I own, you know? So it was like change or go out on the street essentially. And so my lease was up in my apartment. I moved in with him and a year and a year and 8 months later, year and 8 months later, I haven't drank, I haven't smoked, I haven't slept with women. I'm free from those addictions. Praise God. It wasn't by my own strength, right? I'm not glorifying me or myself in any way, shape, or form. This is all because of the Lord. But you have to move if you want the Lord to work. I couldn't have just stayed in that apartment continuing that cycle because it wasn't working and I saw it wasn't working. So the biggest thing that you guys need to do is realize that it's not by your strength that you're going to break free from these addictions. All right? It's surrendering to Christ. It's surrendering to the Lord and seeing where he wants you and how he wants you to operate in that space so that he can break you out of those things. It might be moving away from somewhere or someone or changing simple day-to-day things that you do that lead you into these different paths that you're struggling with. You know, in this year and 8 months, it's not like I haven't thought about those things, right? Like, it's not that like my lust just completely vanished or I haven't thought about like going to a dispensary and grabbing a joint or something, you know, because I've thought about it. But I think the your perspective starts to like shift each and every day that you go without doing it. And it's like, why would I though? You know, like, why let these things get in the way of your relationship with Christ? Like, I let it hinder my relationship with Him for so long. And, even doing those things, like, I'd be in the middle of doing them or I'd be under the influence. And, oh my goodness, I would I would just know it's like this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. This is not where I'm supposed to be. But I couldn't shake it. And it took so long. Like I said, it was 2018 that I like came to Christ, and it wasn't until the end of 2023. So that's 5 years of claiming to have this relationship with Christ, but still living such a life of sin. And so you really have to take a step back and look at your situation and look at if you have triggers or if you have people that are influencing you or what your self-control is like in these situations or if you're going to places or putting yourself into places that inhibit these things. Like change is required, change is necessary, but it shouldn't scare you, right? It shouldn't scare you that you're going to get closer to Christ, that you're going to be better, that you're going to do better. And that's, it's so tough. It's not easy. Like I said, it is not easy, but it's so worth it to see how your relationships will flourish, to see how your relationship with God will flourish, to see the things that He does in your life real time more clearly, to hear His voice, to spend time in His Word, to just have this peace and this joy that only comes from knowing Him. Because right now, you're trying to get that peace and that joy out of those substances. You're trying to get the peace and joy out of the women or out of whatever it is that you're idolizing or addicted to. And all of that is false. All of that is fabrication. It's pretend. You're not going to get it from those things. It's not going to fill that hole in your heart that only Christ can fill. So I hope that you guys are able to take something away from this video. Start small. Start small. Some people might have to just move out of the state that they're in, you know, to start that snowball of change. And like I said, it's going to look different for everybody. But just know that you aren't in control, right? That it's not by your strength that you're going to do these things. You need to surrender to Christ. You need to accept the fact that, like, all right, if I'm trying to live for Christ, then I got to let him guide me. You got to try to listen for his voice. You got to realize that, like, he's given you a way out. I want to say it's Corinthians, or it might be Ephesians, that talks about, we are not tempted beyond that which we can bear. And the struggles that you have are not greater than that any man has had to overcome before. And we are given a way out of our temptations and our struggles. So every time you're tempted to do that thing or watch that video or go to that place, you're not tempted beyond that which you can bear. That is truth. That is God's word. Keep that in mind. I hope you guys are able to get something out of this video. I'm not sure how long I've been rambling for, or if this is a longer one or shorter one. But as always, it's a blessing to be able to just talk to you guys and to try to give you guys some insight and some inspiration that you can do it. Just focus on God. I'm so sorry I'm yawning so much. Went to bed really late last night. But yeah, if you guys were able to get anything out of this video, if anything helped, if anything stood out to you, please drop it in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share this video with someone who you think might need it. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys again next week. Again, thank you so much for 50 subscribers. That's awesome. I can't believe that we've gotten to this point. I'm looking forward to continuing this journey with you all. And I'm excited to see the growth that you guys all undergo in this time that I'm with y'all. Hope you guys have a great week. Hope you guys have a good night. Blessings. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.